Hello, veterinary peeps. Today I want to talk to you about two benefits that largely get unused in veterinary medicine. The first is your vacation time, also known as PTO. And then the second is continuing education. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't use it because of one of two reasons. The first is we feel guilty about using it and we create our own roadblock. Or the second is our employer makes us feel like we can't use it. Sometimes there's other factors like I can't afford to go on vacation, but listen, we all have the ability to do a staycation. There's plenty of free fun stuff for us to do by just staying at home and relaxing. And it's important that we take our vacation time because that's our time to unwind, to decompress, and hopefully not become crispy and burned out. So all of us are plagued by this guilty little liar that lives inside of our head. I always think of it as a small little individual. It sits in my brain and it makes me feel like I'm less of a person or that I didn't do enough or that people are going to judge me. And I think a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you decide I really need time off, but my hospital is very busy. And unfortunately, we're short-staffed. And what does that mean? If I take time off, my staff's going to think I'm less than. The clients are going to be upset because they might have to wait to come in. Patients are going to suffer. I can't take any time for myself because of guilt. Guilt is that nasty liar that lives inside of your head. It is imperative that you make sure that you take time for yourself and realize what would your best friend say to you. This is one of those life lessons that someone said to me. What would your best friend say to you, Amy? And my best friend would say to me, you need a break. You need to take time off. Absolutely. So that's usually the first roadblock. But then we unfortunately have a lot of employers that also add to that guilt. So if you're in a management role, if you're a supervisor, if you're a shift lead, if you're in a management position, if you're the owner of the hospital, I want you to be very clear and careful with your language. Using languages such as, hey, we love to support your vacation time. When are you going away? Do you have an idea? Or, hey, I've noticed that you really haven't taken any vacation time this year. I want to make sure you take time for yourself. What does that look like? That's the appropriate language to use. Too often, because we're short-staffed, we start making our teams feel guilty about taking time off. And unfortunately, this then turns that little liar, that little guilty liar inside the head on, and we feel like we can't take time off. And some actually threaten people's jobs over it. And so let me be very clear. We've always been short-staffed in veterinary medicine. Right now, we're a lot of short-staffed. I've never seen us so short-staffed worldwide. It's an industry-wide problem across every single country at this point that we are really short-staffed. But that doesn't mean you can't figure out as an employer of ways of making sure your staff gets PTO time. We just need to schedule. We need to divert. If we're in an emergency hospital, we just can't see as many cases because one of our very valued employees that we want to make sure stays with us and stays happy and not burned out is on vacation. And that's the way it goes. And we have to figure out how to manage that. The continuing education bucket is the same problem. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people not using it. And listen, at this point, there's so much wonderful continuing education online. And I believe if you have a CE allowance, you should be allowed to use it for whatever helps to promote your education. That could be a podcast. That could be an audio book. It could be an actual physical textbook. Whatever it is, you should be allowed to go ahead and educate yourself in the best way that you want to. Now, going to conferences is another fun thing, but employers are unfortunately deterring people from taking that time off and going away because they're short-staffed. I'm sorry, you can't go to X, Y, and Z conference because we're short-staffed. Listen, when you make your employees happy, they're more likely to stay with you and they're more likely to go ahead and be happier and healthier, therefore treat the patients better and therefore treat the clients better. We want to educate our teams because education makes us all so excited, and education is the thing that makes us stay in this job. When we get stagnant, we get bored, we end up burning out a lot faster. So it's really important that we use our benefits. When we come to the end of this year, or whenever your benefits end whatever period that looks like, whether that be the middle of the year or the end of the year, make sure you use 100% of your benefits. Leave nothing on the table. And I sincerely mean that. No one should give up PTO time. No one should give up your CE benefits. So make sure you use it in full. It's so important because it is what you need to do for yourself. And it's important that you take care of yourself. Thank you so much for listening, and keep on being a unicorn.